go on.
What?
To put it bluntly, I got ran over by one of the officers off a bike.
Okay. Have
The court
you
needs to
provided
officially
me
fucking
these
start.
reports so I can look at them and make my ruling?
I can provide those to you.
Thank you.
Can I just get your state ID?
Yeah, it's 17122.
Alright, that was 17122.
Yeah, I definitely knew that by heart. Definitely was just checking my Uber Eats order there.
Okay, there you go. Those have both been shared with you as well.
Guys, it sounded like a fucking infomercial. That's 17122. Holy fuck.
Do I get something free if I call that number?
Yeah, free shipping and handling. That's about it.
I haven't been listening in the last 5 minutes. Why is it so damn quiet?
I don't know.
I just received the reports. Let me look over them.
Oh, that makes sense. Why it's been so quiet. Writing does take a lot of brain power.
It does. Yeah, reading's
Yeah.
hard.
Writing is very fucking
That's why
hard.
nobody can read my fan fiction except for me.
I'm illiterate as fuck.
Yeah.
Can you tell?
I realized I really need to commit when I read it. I just need to read it like it's good, even if it's not, and then I think I'll just trick
good.
people.
I don't know why you wouldn't think that it's wonderful.
I just get so nervous having to read it in front of everybody that I rush.
Don't be nervous. You read it perfectly. It sounds perfect. You're perfect in every way. Don't ever think any different. You're
Thank you.
welcome. Ellen, you want to go out on a date?
All right. I am going to rule that I'm going to allow these to be added into evidence. With that being said, Mr. Sterling, I don't think it's going to have the... It's not going to prove a point that you think it's going to prove, if that makes sense.
I don't mean to put you on the spot in front of other
That being
people
said,
like that was very, I
if
just
you want
thought
these
about
added
it
in
and
evidence,
then I blurted
we
it
also
out
need to
like
share
word
these with the
vomit 'cause I'm-
prosecution for discovery.
I said I was okay with that, Malish.
Okay. Who needs it for prosecution? Is it just you, Rhodes, or?
I guess I'll look at it. 1303.
Slight flex?
Nah, the slight flex was years ago when it was just 24. Damn.
Damn.
Look, you know.
That's crazy, you old fuck.
That's fucked up, Alice.
Thought that to me mind. I didn't mean to say it.
So those jokes about like your social security number or one, those are like kind of about you.
That's fucked, Helen.
Not my fault, you're old.
Listen, it was kind of bad. People would be like, "What's your state ID?" It's
Excuse me,
824.
is there any reason you guys are on your phones in the courtroom?
We're on the phone with each other.
Is there any reason?
I have head lice, and the phone telekinesis is zapping the head lices so that the lices do not articulate themselves to another head's lices. So it's like a magnetism of no lices. And I am a lice.
EMS, can you, is any of that true, what you just said?
I've got no idea. That might be a question to ask a doctor.
We're not lice experts.
Yeah, and you're missing an arm or a hand or something. I don't.
Oh.
What's that got to do with anything?
I heard he cut his own arm off.
What?
Oh, Helen.
Why?
Wait, was the medical stuff shared with me? Because if so, I don't see it.
No, because I asked you if you wanted it shared, and you said no before. But I need your
1303.
Just state ID. 1303. There you go.
You know what? I just thought about this, Alice. If you have lice, get the fuck out of here.
He's been treated.
I don't want lice.
I got treatment last night. I stayed at the medical. I got blasted on the hillside by some crimers. with guns
You
and
got blasted?
what?
You said you got blasted?
Yeah.
By
And then I
criminals.
went to me hospital and stayed the night. And during the night, that's when me doctor said, Elias, we noticed that you got head lice. We'll treat you. We're gonna put this shampooners on you, and then you should be good to go. You are no longer contagious.
Oh, so you don't have headlights, so there's no point for you to be on the phone.
Well, you never know, Your Honor, sir. Do you not want to be safe?
Well, are you
I can
contagious?
hang
Or you're not
I
contagious.
can hang up my telephone.
I mean, it's up. I mean,
If you really want me to, I guess. I'm
Mr.
just
Sterling, go ahead.
on the phone with me new
Your Honor, could,
girlfriend.
could I ask who the individual in the brown jumper is? At the back with the bunny ears?
you can ask her.
Me?
Yeah. Is that you, Helen?
Yeah.
Your Honor, my liege, I don't feel safe with that individual in the courtroom, I'm going to be honest.
I was one of the people you beat down.
You also were in the cells bragging about how your nickname is what, Helen?
I didn't brag about
What
it.
was
I
you-
was informing.
Could you let our liege know what you was bragging about your nickname, please, Helen?
I'm not bragging about anything, so I can't answer that question.
What do you mean you can't answer that question? You're gonna.
Your Honor, for in fact, we have ordered Helen a name tag for her desk at the BCSO, which is referred to as Hop Out Helen. It is in process of ordering. We're actually going to look for a name change after this if you're available.
I don't think we have any reason to
No.
be concerned about
Okay.
Helen.
Sounds good. Are we all good? Everyone, no concerns?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
No,
You
I'm-
just say
I'm
a
very
bunch of dumb
concerned with
shit,
Hop
and then
Out
they just
Helen
fuck off,
in the
you know, they're
building,
like, shut the fuck
who was
up.
bragging
she's
about
got
gunning
nothing
down
to hop
people.
out of, so you'll
Okay,
be fine. You'll be fine.
Helen, do you promise not to hop out?
I
Mr. Sterling?
promise not to hop out unless I
She's
have
got
to.
bunny ears, Your Honor. Your Honor, she's naturally hopping.
That's why they call me Hop Out Helen, because of the bunny ears, sir.
It's the bunny ears. She's
That's
a
not what you're
bunny.
saying in the cells, ma'am.
What am I gonna hop out of? Okay,
Okay,
I'm not in a car.
Okay, let's lock it in. Let's lock it in. I'm already tired of being here. Okay.
Sorry.
Let's go ahead and get
It's
this
hop
shit
out,
started.
double tap Helen. Good shit.
Oh, my own fucking gavel. Jesus Christ. All right, come to order, Honorable Judge Bo Button, aka Judge Paddington Bear.
Can you speak up, please, my liege?
Yeah, Honorable Justice, or sorry, Judge Bo Button, aka Paddington Bear, presiding. We're looking at charges against Mr. Cass Sterling. We're gonna forego opening statements because fuck opening statements, they suck. Mr. Sterling, you're looking at 9 charges today. I'm gonna read them off one by one. You're just gonna go ahead and plead guilty or not guilty, okay?
Yes, my liege.
First charge is gonna be 1 times reckless evading,
Not guilty.
1 times resisting arrest,
Not guilty.
1 times brandishing of a firearm,
Not guilty.
You say
theft
firearm
of a
or
government vehicle,
non-firearm?
Not guilty.
failure to obey
Oh,
traffic
it's
control
supposed to be
devices,
brandishing non-firearm.
Not guilty.
Wait, did I put the wrong
4
one?
times battery
Yeah,
of a
you put
government
brandishing
employee.
of a firearm.
Not guilty.
Oh fuck.
Okay, so at this time, Mr.
Your
Cass
Honor,
Sterling-
one of the charges is not correct. 1 second.
What do you mean?
I was brandishing a non-firearm.
Well, that's a shame. We've already
It is-
started, so it's too late.
What do you mean it's too late?
Sucks to suck for you, huh?
Oh my gosh.
God damn it, Rhodes. Why? What is
So
that
Mr.
noise?
Cass Sterling has.
What if I just
pled
tell him
not
if I
guilty
can
to all
read it
charges.
wrong?
We will go ahead and have prosecution open up with witnesses. Prosecution, call your first witness.
Opal, you're the witness. Have at it.
I'm a witness. I witnessed it
Hello,
all.
Miss Opal.
Hey, Judge Bo. My liege, Judge Bo.
All right, Opal. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and other opinions, penalties, and perjuries? So help you, Matt.
I do?
All right, thank you. You're gonna be doing narrative, or you're gonna be doing questioning?
I'll do narrative, right, Rhodes?
Yeah,
Narrative should
narrative's
begin?
best,
You can do
especially
narrative, and then
considering.
you can,
Okay.
You can ask questions at the end.
Alright, I was sitting in my interceptor. I believe it was on Vespucci when a white and color, I believe Vacker or sports car, either way, ran through the red light at very high rates of speed. I turned on my lights, my sirens, tried to catch up to the vehicle. Eventually did catch up to the vehicle on Bay City Avenue, where the vehicle parked in the opposing lane facing northbound across from the bank. And the driver got out with knuckle dusters in his hand and started holding up locals. They put their hands up. They were visibly distressed. He's running their pockets, as one would say. He claimed that they were his aunties and such, and he was just getting pocket money or something like that. Once he'd stopped, I asked him to get back in his vehicle and pull the vehicle over to the right side of the road so I could perform my traffic stop. He asked what for. I informed him. He walked back towards his vehicle, but then instead got in mine, and I said, "Get out of my car." He said, sorry, got in the wrong car. And then he drove off. I rated that in. I got a pickup. I driven to MRPD, where I located the dash cam inside the vehicle, located the vehicle and the suspect off of Gentry Lane. The suspect was out of the vehicle and visible in front of the camera. It was still the same suspect. Called on where the vehicle was going, and then once units were attached, I got into the helicopter and pursued the stolen interceptor. Driving very fast, very reckless in the opposing lane, on the sidewalk, taking reckless turns. It eventually crashed out on Lower Power Street, where the driver then foot bailed all the way down to the Billabong. He was in handcuffs multiple times throughout. Eventually got on a bike, was ran off the bike, and then put in handcuffs.
All right, Mr. Rose, do you have any clarifying questions?
No. I don't think I do, truthfully.
All right, Mr. Sterling Cross.
Hey, Miss Price, how are you today?
Hey, good.
So you mentioned a white Vaca. Well, I don't see that anywhere in evidence at all. I'm a little bit confused. A white what is a white Vaca?
It's a sports car.
A what car?
A sports car.
Is there any reason
Very
why?
low down.
Is there any reason why it isn't in any of the evidence? Why it wasn't documented?
I mean, it's one, not relevant, and two, by the time I returned, the vehicle was gone.
If you're the witness, please don't. Please refrain from objecting. That's what Mr. Rhodes is here to do.
But that wasn't even an objection.
I didn't object. I said it's not in evidence because I don't believe it to be relevant to be in evidence. It was not an objection to his question. I answered the question.
I apologize if I misunderstood.
What? You don't believe it to be relevant?
Not to the stealing of the interceptor, and again, by the time I returned, it was not there.
But Bam, isn't that where you're saying this all started from, a white Vaca? But yet there is no documentation of it at all.
Do you want me to repeat for a third time that by the time I returned, it was not there? Because I can.
But you told me you were, by your very narrative testimony, you were stood pretty close to it, right?
Yeah.
You was, and you didn't see the need to document the evidence?
No, see, we in the police department, we have something called a priority, and in this case, the priority was the stolen police interceptor, which can do a lot of damage on the street.
So the evidence, just for clarity of the court, you're saying the evidence wasn't the priority?
There was no evidence to be had with the vehicle.
But you're claiming that's where it all started, yet there's no evidence of the vehicle. How do we know you're not just making that up, Miss Price? Do you have?
I guess you'll have to just take my word.
Okay, so you said you clocked. You said you clocked a white Vaca at what speed? Was that?
No, I said I watched it run a red light at high rates of speed.
1 second, ma'am. So there's just to hammer this home. There is absolute no record of a white Vaca at all.
The objection are asked and answered several times now.
Yeah, sustained.
Okay,
let's move on.
Okay. So you claim that I was I was doing what? What did you claim you saw me doing?
At which part? I claimed you were doing
Yeah, when
multiple
you
things.
got out the interceptor.
Oh yeah, you had knuckle dusters. Or I'm sorry, am I not supposed to be addressing him directly? The suspect had knuckle dusters in his hands, walking up to locals, going through their pockets. They were visibly distressed. You know, you can see it in their face. They had their hands up. You know, it's a very
And
disturbing scene.
what distress could you, and how you know, are you an expert in that sort of thing?
Actually, I am, because I do deal with people getting robbed multiple times a day. So yes, I am an expert. Thank you very much.
Okay, okay, you drive a fast car, I'm assuming, but that doesn't mean you're an expert in Formula One. To know if someone is distressed, you would need some kind of formal training, surely.
Objection, Your Honor. Is he testifying? I'm confused.
Yes, sustained. Do you have a question here, Mr.?
I would like to know how she qualifies as an expert in the level of someone being distressed or not.
Are you asking her that?
That's what I'm trying to attain, yeah. Her saying I work with scared people for me isn't valid.
I did not say I work with scared people. I said I deal with hostage situations and people getting robbed every day. It's called experience, sir.
Okay. So you're somewhat of an expert.
Objection, asked and answered.
Okay, Mr. Sterling, you've asked the same question multiple times now.
Sorry, my liege. I'll move on.
Okay,
I'll move on. Sorry, my liege. I'll move on. So you claim you saw me robbing the people that I told you are my aunts and uncles who were kindly giving me my not my pocket money. What the fuck's the other word? My allowance, giving me my allowance, right? You claim that you didn't believe that, and they looked distressed. That's what you claimed. If the locals looked distressed, and I was, as you say, actively robbing them, as an expert, what is the appropriate response?
I told you to stop, and then eventually you did. I was trying to strike a conversation before escalating.
And what did you said you asked me to get back in this alleged white vaca that there's no record of, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you saw you believe you saw me robbing locals, and then you asked me to get back in my vehicle.
Objection, asked and answered. We're going in circles.
Okay, Mr. Sterling.
My liege, you got to remember, I am but a humble person trying to defend myself here. I don't have the years of experience in the courtroom as these officers.
That's fine.
A little bit of slack.
That's fine. I'm trying to give you some slack, but you can't be asking the same question multiple times in different ways. Okay.
Okay. I'll
ask it one time, then move on to something else. Okay.
Okay. I will try and take a bit more time between my questions. Okay. Thank you. So when I read your statement, Miss Price, in the MDT, you said could you read your? Am I allowed to ask her to read a statement, or is that going to get me in trouble?
You can ask her to read parts of her statement. Yes.
Okay. Could you do me a favor, Miss Price, and read the bit from when you wanted to conduct a traffic stop from there?
After he was done, Sergeant Price instructed him to get back in his vehicle and pulled over to the right side of the road as she was going to be conducting a traffic stop.
The next one, please, sorry.
The suspect then got into Sergeant Price's interceptor, and before Sergeant Price was able to take any real action, took off in it.
Yeah, in your testimony, it kind of conflicted with that.
Is there
a question in that?
Yeah,
I didn't know
objection. He ain't even asking questions at this point.
Yeah. What's your question here?
What I'm trying to ascertain, my liege, is that in a testimony,
just ask her.
What? How can your statement and your testimony differ?
I don't know which way you believe they differ.
you said there was no chance to have any real action, yet in your testimony, you said you took action.
I said I asked you to step out of the vehicle. Now you could ask me what I consider to be real action. I believe simply asking you to step out is not what I would consider real action. With real action, I personally would consider taking my taser or my nightstick and pulling you out of the vehicle by force. So yes, did I ask you to step out? Yes. Did I take any physical action of removing you from my vehicle? No.
Okay. And I don't need to think, sorry. So which one is it? Which one is it? Did you? I just want to Am I okay to just clarify that? Are you? Which one are you sticking to?
Objection asked and answered, because clearly, if he's asking which one she's sticking to, she done already said which one.
Just let her answer it. Overruled.
Okay. Again, I'm sticking to the fact that I gave verbal instructions to get out of my vehicle, but I consider real action to be physically attempting to remove you from the vehicle, which I did not do. So both are true.
You got your answer, Mr. Sterling?
Yeah, that's my answer. Yep, thank you. Let me
Thank
just
you.
have a little cook.
I think he's burning the food.
During your statement, during your during your testimony, Miss Price, you mentioned that that the suspect ran off his pedal bike. Could you just go into that a little bit more detail, please?
I watched a scout take I believe, left turn, putting the scout in front of the pedal bike, and the pedal bike ran into the scout. That's what it looked like from the air up, anyways.
Okay, no more questions, John. Thank you.
All right, redirect Rhodes.
No, I ain't wasting anybody's time.
All right, hopefully you can step down.
I'm
All
up.
right. Rhodes, you got another witness? Yourself?
It is I, the witness.
All right. Mr. Rhodes, you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, to help you independently of perjury. Say you, Buddha.
Yes, I do.
All right.
I have a quick question before he starts. Since he's prosecution, obviously can't raise any objections. Can I do it for him?
Yes, you can.
Perfect.
So, Your Honor, there I was minding my business when I heard
Your Honor.
my liege. There I was just minding my business when all of a sudden I heard a situation on Channel 1 referring to a stolen interceptor, and I thought to myself, do they need backup or are there sufficient? So I asked, and they said, if you got something fast enough, attach. So I attached. It's exactly what I did. In pursuing the Buffalo, it was driving very recklessly, speeds easily in excess of 120 miles an hour, taking last-minute turns, driving on sidewalks, the whole nine, my liege, the whole nine. So I'm now directly behind it. It takes a turn on Power Street. I believe it was a left southbound turn. And in doing so, I struck the rear side, which pushed it into the wall, and the vehicle got disabled. I'm thinking to myself, this gonna be it ended with the quickness. We had quite a few units because it was a stolen police vehicle, which does present certain additional risks. Individual ran out on foot, was chased, I'm not kidding, my liege, for like maybe more than 10 minutes. For context, I think it ended or started the foot pursuit on lower power and ended by the Billabong, if you know where that is. So throughout the entirety of the foot pursuit, I was in my vehicle. I was pulling in front of the individual running on foot to allow officers the opportunity to catch up, tackle him, tase him, get him in cuffs. They were able to tackle and tase here and there, though he is quite the track star. I say that as respectfully as possible. He is quite the track star. He was zooming. He was in and out. And every time he'd approach my car, if he was angling to go left, I'd position my vehicle a little closer to there. Each time him screaming, you're running me over, you're going to run me over, stuff like that. Eventually, he'd get too much distance from me, especially with the equipment that we carry. It's quite difficult at times to keep up on foot. So I got back in my vehicle. I learned eventually he went into the water, I think by the Del Perro beach. I then pulled up. It was then called out that he got onto a bicycle, to which I very clearly on radio said something to the extent of, I'll deal with this. I accelerated past the bicycle, which was on the sort of running parallel to the Billabong. I made a swift left turn to get the bicycle to pretty much smack into the side of my car, which is, in my opinion, one of the safest means of being able to get a bicycle to stop. And then he was placed in cuffs. Now, it doesn't actually end there. It would have. However, once the individual was in the cells, actually, let me rephrase. At that point, he did request medical attention. Medical was called immediately after. And he did specifically instruct them to document his injuries. He was referring to excessive force and all that stuff. He did ask for my name, my call sign. I provided that, 390 Matt Rhodes, the spiel I give to everybody. Eventually, he was brought over to the BCSO. He was fingerprinted, identified as Cass Sterling. He was then placed in a cell. I made sure that the only thing taken at the time was the knuckle dusters. Everything else was seized off his person. He did request food and water. In fact, he said it is our duty to provide him or to give him food and water him, to which I asked if he was a potted plant, but that's, I guess, neither here nor there. He was provided pizza by Helen, and provided I think it's called it's either a Habibi tea or Habib tea, one of the two, which I had two of them, which is why I was able to give him one, and I drank one, pretty much roughly the same time. I didn't have any, symptoms or anything afterwards, but shortly after drinking the tea, Mr. Sterling here was seemingly feigning a medical emergency, leaning up against the wall, saying things that weren't exactly making sense, to which I asked him to approach the bars. I immediately called for EMS during this time, because obviously, having EMS delayed would be a terrible idea. So I asked him to approach the bars. He failed to do so. I then entered the cell, which I almost never do, on the basis that if they are having a true medical emergency, I obviously want to ensure the safety of them, us, and EMS. So I attempted to place him in cuffs. He did actively resist those cuffs. He then, shortly after, not immediately, shortly after, within maybe 30 seconds to a minute, continued on with the random muttering of words. He started saying something about a bear and stuff like that, and then started swinging.
Is he calling you a bear?
He just kept saying there was a bear in the cell. He said that the cell was getting small, stuff like that. Again, things that you would anticipate someone to be saying in the event of a medical emergency. He then started swinging at me. He then exited this. Well, actually, let me rephrase. He exited the cell, tried running out, but the secondary door in the BCSO was locked. He then ran back and started swinging at every officer within the vicinity. Every single one. I mean, of note, I did in my statement put... so he swung at me. He swung at Mel and Williams. Mellon did not put the report in, which is why I reduced it to 4 counts of battery. Especially considering it, we're in a bench trial. Helen, Lucas Miller, and Rick Pickle, all of which who did end up putting statements. So just to clarify, the 4 counts is going to be for me, Lucas, Helen, and Rick. He was punching every single one of us, Your Honor. Now, originally, I had a flashlight in my hand, and I was swinging it. And then I thought to myself, let me let me pull out the nightstick. And that's exactly what I did. I swung several times, beat him down, considering he was actively punching officers throughout the entirety of that situation. He was tased at one point. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get cuffs on him. There was a bit of a situation. Regardless, we tried putting him in cuffs. Didn't work. And he was beat down. EMS arrived on scene within, I'd say, 30 seconds of him being beat down and placed back in cuffs because they're already en route from the original call when he started exhibiting the symptoms. And yeah, that is pretty much it. From my POV, I saw him get out of the original Buffalo STX when it got disabled. I saw him strike me and all the officers mentioned at the BCSO, but I was not present for the original theft of the Buffalo or anything to that extent. Yeah, that is pretty much it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Hopefully, get any questions for Mr. Rhodes?
No, that covers it.
All right, Mr. Sterling Cross.
Yeah, I got some. Mr. Rhodes, could you
I can do a lot of things.
Let me think about it to ask this question. Sorry, my liege. I'm new to this, so obviously.
Yep.
Could you possibly expand on the conversation that happened between the scene from where you placed me in cuffs and you taking me to the BCSO?
Objection relevance.
Guess rebuttal.
Why is it missing from the statement?
Why is it relevant?
Because I want to paint a picture of the officer's attitude towards the law.
Which, again, has nothing to do with the criminal case. And if anything, it would be a civil case.
You know what? I'd like to hear it overruled.
So can you ask the question again?
Basically, just fill in the missing bits from the journey from where you placed me in cuffs and took me to the BCSO.
The what missing bits?
Well, there was a whole conversation that we had, wasn't it? So.
Yeah, I'm sure we had a conversation, but I mean, I'm confused.
So
you'll have your opportunity to come up here and say what you said.
So do you remember the conversation, so or not?
I've entertained so many conversations, it's hard to determine exactly which one you're referring to.
I've literally given you the time window, sir.
Yep, and even during that time, I had several phone calls.
Is he allowed to refuse to answer like that, sir?
Objection, misstatement of what's happening. He's not refusing to answer. He just said he does not remember.
Okay, sustained. Mr. Cassie saying he doesn't remember what happened. We're going to take it as that. If you have any other questions, let's move on.
Genuine question, my liege. What's the difference between not recalling and not remembering? Genuine question.
What are you asking me? What the difference is?
Yeah, because they're claiming that he's saying he doesn't recall, but I'm saying he doesn't remember, and I've been told that's different. So I'm just a bonehead. So if you can explain to me what the difference is.
I'm more so answering that he's already answered your question. He doesn't recall.
Okay.
Let's just move on to the next question.
Okay.
I mean, if you'd like to jog my memory, by all means, go ahead. I don't know the context of the conversation you're talking about. You mentioned a time frame, and I'm just, I'm not really all that great with time frames.
I've been told to move on, so I'm going to do as I'm told by my liege.
Okay.
So during what you described as an episode, could you give us a bit more detail on what you witnessed from the suspect in the cells?
Yes. Originally, I was having a conversation because at this time we were waiting for a response from a judge regarding a bench trial, alternatively the request for an attorney. So I was speaking with officers that were there, and I realized that you were towards the back. I say backside, but like if you're looking at the cell to the far left side along the wall, that would be shared with the backside of the BCSO. You were laying on the ground. Now I didn't know if you were doing this just for the purpose of laying on the ground. I then saw that you seemingly looked as if you were, I don't necessarily want to say short of breath, but like something looked off. And I tried, calling your name multiple times. You weren't very responsive. You then started like muttering random things. At that point, again, immediately called for EMS. I mean, yeah, that was kind of it. Once I was in the cell, I did let you know that I was going to be placing you in cuffs. And that's when, you actively resisted. Though before that, you were saying, I think it was before.
What did you just do?
You made mention of like there being a bear in the cell and the cell feeling small, stuff like that.
In your opinion, is that someone who's sound of mind?
Objection, opinion of a layperson.
I'm just a layperson.
But you're allowed to give your expertise on distress. But okay.
There's a difference between being an expert in something and asking medical conditions. He is a layperson. He is not a doctor. He's not EMS. He cannot give an opinion on someone who may or may not be sound of mind.
And being an officer allows you to give an opinion on if someone's distressed?
Is that a rebuttal to my objection?
Yeah. What's a rebuttal to the opinion?
I'm trying to understand what. So I'm trying to understand why an officer's allowed to give an expert opinion on someone being distressed, but I can't ask someone if they think that the way that person was acting is sound of mind.
Because there's a difference between an expert opinion and a layperson.
So
I'm just a wee layperson.
Yeah. So Mr. Rhodes here is not an expert on. He's not a medical professional on, or a psychiatrist of any sort, so he can't really state the sound of mind. However, he's asking for his opinion on it. He's not asking him as an expert in it. I'm going to sustain it. Let's just try to try to reword what you're asking. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, let me try. I'm going to try come at it from a different angle. Thank you, my liege. Mr. Rhodes, do you interact with people on a regular basis?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Would you be able to recognize usual behavior?
That is so incredibly vague. It's hard to tell. What's normal for you is not normal for somebody else. Therefore, that's like an impossible question.
I'm just thinking, Liege, because I know I'm trying not to ask the same what you told me not to. So the episode that you described in the cells, is this something you've witnessed before?
I mean, if you ask me to like pinpoint a specific example, not quite, though having been an officer for many years, it's definitely something that has occurred. So yes, to answer your question, have I experienced it before? Yeah.
And in those, can you recur those episodes? Can you recur those other instances properly, or are they a vague memory?
Vague memory. I did clarify that in my original statement.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so you've been an officer for many years. I'm sure you've arrested thousands of criminals. Is that fair for me to say?
Probably. I don't have an exact count, but sure.
Out of those thousands of criminals, this has happened so little that you have a very vague memory of it. So is it fair for me to say that is not of the usual thing that you deal with in the cells?
Yeah, I would say it's not a common occurrence.
Okay, no more questions, Your Honor.
All right, Opal, redirect.
No, I'm good.
All right, you can step down.
Gina, thank you for the raid. I hope you had a good stream.
Witnesses, prosecution.
One moment. Helen, do you want to testify to being punched?
Mr.
I
Sterling,
can
is
if you'd
there
like
anybody
me
we
to,
need to
sure.
call down?
Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll get Lucas since his report is.
What the hell?
No, you know what? We'll call you. We'll call you.
I will probably just do it myself.
Actually, wait.
Am I allowed to- am I
No,
allowed
because he's gonna harp on you being fucking hop out Helen.
I don't think that's gonna matter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who do
you know
who
what?
do I
Fuck it.
question?
Fuck it.
Ventura.
Yeah.
One second, Ventura. Were you a part of this situation?
No.
All right. When it gets to that point, I want you to object to anything. Object on Mr. Sterling's behalf when it gets to it.
Okay.
I'd like to call Helen as a witness.
The lady that's been on the phone the whole time.
Yeah, she's gonna come up here. She has to hang up the phone now.
Hop out, Helen.
Understood.
Miss Helen, please raise your left hand. All right, Miss Helen, aka Hop Out
Also,
Helen.
Blue, thank you for the 4 years. I appreciate it.
Promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth,
Francochino, thank you for the 18 months.
So say you. Sab.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, just for the purpose of sticking with format, can she provide narrative as well? It's only in
Sure.
reference to the
Sure.
cell portion, anyways. It should be short.
Sure.
I woke up in the BCSO barracks. I went into the cells just to kind of see what was going on. Get a sense of the vibe. I saw this guy. He's in the cells. Rhodes is there. They're arguing. I'm just kind of yapping, waking up for the day. Barely even open my eyes. Getting the sleepies out and stuff. And then this guy's like demanding food. And none of us have food, so I go, and I find him some food. I find, a stale slice of pizza for him, give him that. He seems happy with that. He wants something to wash it down with. Rhodes gives him a tea. Asks if he even likes tea first, and he's like, yeah, I'm British. What do you think? We take that as a yes. So we give him the tea. And then, we're waiting, trying to find out if he's gonna have a bench trial or not. So we're just all kind of yapping and stuff. And then we get the news like, yeah, you can have a bench trial after Storm. And then this guy goes real quiet. And we're like, sir, would you like your bench trial after Storm, sir? And he's like, 1 second, I'm thinking. And we're like, okay. And then he continues to sit there silently for a minute, and then he starts pacing, and he stands in the corner of the cell, and he starts going, ooh, and he kind of goes into like a partial fent fold kind of vibe. And then Rhodes enters the cell.
Not the fent fold.
Well, Rhodes calls EMS. And
that?
is like, hey, we got this guy, and something's wrong here.
Not
Rhodes
really
enters
wrong.
the cell. He's like, sir, I'm gonna put you in cuffs so we can get you medical. The guy, despite seeming like he was really out of it, he manages to resist cuffs. He escapes the cell. He starts saying something about a bear, which I would describe Rhodes as more of like a chubby twink, if anything.
That's
time out.
Yeah.
Rhodes, what would you qualify yourself as?
Not a chubby twink.
What
Not
do
a
you
bear.
qualify yourself as?
This is my narrative, not.
Can
Well,
I guess? Can I guess, please?
Yes, Mr. Shirley, you
Or
can.
will it be offensive if I guess or no? You're not. I'm not going to get. In
No,
trouble, am
I don't take offense
The
to
court allows it.
nothing.
Are you an otter, sir?
How do you even know that?
I've been
Because
clocked.
I'm fucking.
knows the
I'm
terminology,
inclusive.
guys.
I'm
I'm-
inclusive.
Yeah.
I've been
Are you,
clocked.
man?
Are you
One
an otter,
One
sir?
second, Helen. This is very important to the.
I'm right. I'm all right. I'm right.
Oh
I'm
my
right.
Yeah, he's right. It's the first right thing today that he's done.
You see?
Anyways.
See that?
All right, Mr. Rhodes, by the court, you're gonna be recognized as a bear. Thank you.
Oh.
Okay, well,
Understood, my
Keep
liege.
going, Helen.
interesting. Well, he starts saying he sees a bear, and then he starts punching officers, just kind of indiscriminately swinging. That he's, they're like, you're gonna get beat down, and he gets I tase him at one point. We're trying to get him in cuffs, but he's like kind of stuck on the bars, and then he gets beat down. And then I got punched during that whole thing, and I just kind of left because I got punched in the face, and it didn't seem like fun anymore. End of narrative.
All right, any questions, Road Supple?
Did you see other officers get punched?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like at least like 2 or 3 others. For sure. Swinging and running.
Yeah, I think that's all I got.
All right, Mr. Sterling, Cross.
Yeah, I've got some. So, what was it? Hop out, Helen?
Just Helen's fine.
No, we'll call you Hop out. Okay. Hop out. Could you just fill us in on the conversation you was bragging about?
Objection,
in the
badgering.
cells?
Can I please ask that counsel may refer to the witness by her chosen name, Helen, and not Hop out?
Yeah,
But-
Mr. Sterling, you did claim you were inclusive, and then you chose not to. Call that
But I'm only calling the Hop out Helen because the lady at the back in the black hat said that they're getting a name badge for well.
Well,
Mr.
Hop Out's
Sterling,
more of
you-
a title. My name
Mr.
is
Sterling,
Helen.
if you want to be inclusive, you got to go inclusive all the time.
Okay. What am I calling you? Sorry. You're right. Sorry,
Just
my liege.
Helen's fine, thank you.
Sorry,
or,
Helen.
Or
I
Sergeant
apologize.
Highwater.
Which one would you prefer?
I'll leave that one up to you. A or B.
Okay, I'll call you A then, since you said A or B. Nice, right? A.
Okay.
This fucking guy, bro.
Could you elaborate on the conversation you were having about how I come to learn the name that you've asked me not to call you? The conversation you was bragging about in the cells while I was there.
Objection, relevance, maybe even scope at this point.
Which one is it?
Which one?
Both.
Let's choose
Objection, relevance.
one. Okay, how is it relevant, Mr. Sterling?
Can both
just
counsel
let
approach
himself.
the bench to have a conversation with you, sir?
Sure.
Do I not get to hear? I have to
Yeah,
walk
can you
away?
step back,
Okay,
please?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to put my face there, well, Jesus. So I'm trying to paint a picture. So I believe the episode that they're talking about was a trip from the weird tea that they gave me, and I'm trying to prove that if you're in a bad environment and experience some bad stuff, that you can end up having a bad trip. And I really believe that this story that Helen was telling beforehand could be the thing that triggered that. So I think it adds context to why I might have what the episode might have been and why it happened. So, my liege, sorry.
Maybe like
Rebuttal, prosecution.
Lock 'em up, Lucas.
I'm at a loss of words.
I
Holy-
got this.
holy fuck.
I got this. If this is the road we're going down, we are going to be later down the line objecting. The fact's not in evidence. There's no testimony. There's nothing from a doctor, a psychiatrist backing up that this is something that this is a medical condition that the defendant has. There's absolutely no evidence backing up that this was not just. I don't know. I don't want to say something he made up to get officers to get into the cell because I feel
Some
like that's
sort of
insensitive.
gobbledygook.
Sure. Facts not in evidence is what will inevitably get down if we keep, going down the road of Helen triggered this.
Your Honor, may I offer an alternative here?
Sure, go ahead.
Do I not get to?
Well, I haven't ruled yet, so.
Okay.
Well,
Before I get to rebut back, sorry.
I feel as though if he's trying to argue that he was not in the correct mental state, unfortunately, without having seen an actual doctor and having only seen EMS, he'll never be able to prove that, unfortunately. Which means, truthfully, this should probably be structured more as an appeal, and he should speak to an attorney at a later time after proving whatever medical aspect that he's going for at that time.
Is it
Go ahead.
my go now or no?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Sterling.
I suppose the question is, why wasn't I taken to hospital? Why wasn't I seeing a doctor after the episode? I was in your duty of care, right? You had full control of me.
Right. Would you also like me to mention that you ran from the hotel to the BCSO without a problem? Or do you not remember what happened between then and...
What would you want me...
Right.
What?
Right. What was the interrupt there? Come on. 1 + 1
what
equals...
am I meant to... I asked you what you needed me to...
Mm-hmm.
Rhodes objection fucking weird.
Thank you,
Yep.
Leash. Thank you, Leash.
I need you to understand that there was very much so an interrupt. You were being treated by EMS. They specifically indicated prior to that they can write up the report and it'll get to you afterwards. But I mean, the reality of the situation is, like, I'm sorry, but you're probably not going to get a full diagnosis, if you will, of being insane or anything in the span of 10 minutes.
So,
okay. So I'll say this. I'm going to go ahead and roll. If they object to facts, not evidence, unfortunately, it's going to be sustained. So the line of questioning that you're going through is probably not going to work, Mr. Sterling.
Okay.
That being said, if you want to, I mean, we can call a mistrial, and you can go for an appeal after you've talked to a doctor and had your mental state checked out, and et cetera, if you want.
And what does a mistrial mean, Your Honor? Just because I don't actually, obviously, you know.
Pretty much it means that you're going to get sent in for your time, and you still have the right to appeal that we haven't completed the whatever it's called, the court case.
Can't you suggest something that would result in you not getting charged until you can get a doctor to look at you? Listen, if you think you're not mentally sound, you think doctor needs to look at you, I mean, 5150 is always there. We'll send you on a psychiatric hold until you can be evaluated, make sure you're safe for society, and then we'll just, either drop the charges if a psychiatrist finds you, unfit to stand trial or unfit of your own actions, at which point you will probably be reprimanded into the custody of a facility that can take care of you, sir.
I guess since you can't continue to, what I was trying to get at is we established that the episode that happened was not of the normal experience of suspects in the cells, yet there was no thought of, getting a doctor down there to just double check that he was okay. Are EMS trained in those kind of things? Do we believe? No, that's what I'm saying. So I'm trying to establish: do we believe that I was actually given the adequate care that I'm owed?
I think that has nothing to do here with your criminal proceedings, though. If you want to argue that during either an appeal or a civil action that you believe that you weren't given adequate care during your jailing, that's another story, right? But it has nothing to do with the crimes that are being pushed against you today.
Does it not, Elise? I don't know. If you tell me that, then obviously,
Well, are you saying that because of your mindset that you attacked 4 government employees?
Well, what I'm saying is, I don't remember that episode. They're telling what I've heard from them is that there was clearly some, in my opinion, odd and unusual behavior, and from what Mr. Rhodes said in his testimony, was not what he's used to seeing and happened on a few occasions in his many thousands of arrests. That I'm claiming that I don't remember that, so maybe that something did happen that I wasn't of sound mind.
Yeah, but at this point, you haven't gotten the medical report to prove anything of that, right?
Yep, because they didn't take me to. That's my point.
So why didn't you ask them to?
Because I was being handcuffed and treated, so I didn't. What do you mean?
My perception of you is that you like to go to.
Is it for? So I'm confused. Is my so?
Well, if you would have asked them, you would have said, "Hey, Mr. Rhodes, can we go to the hospital?" What do you think Rhodes would have said?
Hey, Mr. Rhodes, I don't remember what's just happened. Could you take me to hospital? Surely their duty of care is to me, not the other way around. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, but
well, I mean, unfortunately, your treatment was sort of interrupted. But the reality of the situation is, if you truly felt that way, you should have communicated to us that you wanted to go and see a doctor.
How would I have no the point? I have no recollection of said episode. So how would You see what I'm saying?
Well, I'm no medical professional, but I mean, I think I think I may have written this in my statement. I think I wrote something to the extent of like seemingly feigned medical episode because I'm not certain.
Okay.
To fake.
Okay. The ejection is sustained. The line of questioning is going to be stricken.
Okay.
Let's just and here's the thing. You still have the right to an appeal, and you still have the right to civil action if you think that you were wronged in the cells, right?
Yeah, and on my bike. Yeah, totally.
All right, let's go ahead and go back.
Thank you. I just want to apologize to everyone here. I didn't, obviously, I'm not a fucking law expert.
Oh, you're good, dude.
You're good.
I assume we'd deal with it all here, right? So that's why
It's fine.
No, you're good.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Miss Hop out. I mean, Miss Helen.
No, there's no
Oop.
point.
Come back to the. All right, Mr. Sterling.
Give me 1 second. I just want to refresh my brain.
Girl, I done forgot where we left off.
Honestly, I forgot when we got up here in the first place.
Me too.
He said we're striking the line of questioning. I don't even know what the line was.
Me neither. He could ask it again, and I'ma have no idea. Bitch, I drink the same fucking tea as him.
Miss Highwater,
Mhm.
could you read out Lucas Miller's statement for me, please?
Huh? Objection? What?
You can't do that. If you want to, Mr. Miller's right over there. You can call him as a witness.
Can I ask her opinion on the statement, considering she's a high-ranked officer in the police force?
I mean, I'll just object on scope at that point.
What I'm trying to get at is, the competency of the police force. We've had, officers not be able to recall things and not document things, and now a officer's statement, to be quite frank, is
Girl,
I
how am I
got punched in the
documenting in
cells
court? It's not
by
there.
Gus
I'm going to
Stern.
sustain the objection. If you want to, you can call Mr. Lucas Miller.
I almost had an outburst. I almost said, motherfucker, if we're talking about someone who can't recall things, holy fuck.
Can I deny?
No.
No, you're a cop. You can't.
Actually, yes, you can if you want to go to jail.
Yeah, deny, come on.
Am I done?
Not right now. Not right
No,
now.
no, right now. I
okay.
thought I was allowed to ask your opinion. I'm a bit confused because I thought I'd be able to ask your opinion, considering you are quite literally an expert.
Hey, none of this got nothing to do with your criminal charges.
It is because his statement claims I punched him. I was just, anyway, doesn't matter. Miss
Judge,
Harwood,
your liege, may I
I have no more questions for you.
1 second.
okay.
Opal, go ahead. Or sorry, not Opal. Helen, go ahead. What were you saying? Just give her a second. I want to see what.
Just so you know, if you're asking me for like expert quote unquote testimony on that on the report, because this is a bench trial, oftentimes the reports we don't have our proper 48 hours to complete an entire fleshed out report. So sorry, your liege.
Oh, there was a bug. I saw it, girl. I saw it.
There she is, Helen.
Officers who do not have time to complete their statement can give their testimony in court.
Yep,
so you're more than welcome to call him to this stand.
Yes.
I'm not telling you, your liege. I was informing him.
Is that normal for the witness to inform the defense? I think.
No, but I'm trying to help you, sir.
Okay.
Just.
Considering you've apologized several times for not being experienced, I would hope you would take the friendly tip advice.
Yeah, advice from the very person.
Let's move on. I'm already tired of being here. Let's move on.
Okay. Like I said, I have no more questions for Helen. I did try to say that. Thank you.
Okay, Helen, go ahead, step down. All right, prosecution done with your witnesses?
Yeah.
All right, defense. Call your first witness.
I mean, it would be kind of cool if we got you.
Was it Ventura? You said that.
The
guy with the dark hair is not here.
Do you want to call?
Like officially labeled Hop Out Helen?
Okay.
I don't think that's good for my image.
It probably not.
People are going to start expecting me to hop out, and I'm not a shooter.
Ventura, I'm gonna put you in a vest just so I can have a shooter on my squad.
Oh my god.
We'll get you a car that has no door so you can hop out faster. I got you.
Ventura, this guy doesn't have a lawyer.
Okay.
So if the prosecution objects to anything, I want you to help him. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Sterling, go ahead.
Thank you, my liege.
All right, Mr. Sterling, raise your left hand. All right, Mr. Sterling, do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
The fuck is he gonna say that he just don't